remember growing up, you would always say, like, make sure you have a career, make sure you always work and have your own money, because I remember you even
have to be independent.
You were like, be independent, don't ever have a guy pay anything for you. And I remember you would say, like, you would see this a lot where like they would buy their wives or their girlfriends like jewelry or a nice bag or a purse or a dress, but then it almost felt like you owed them something. Or if you were fighting or get divorced one day, it was always like, give me back my things, or you kind of like, you have to give back the ring. And so I decided to bring my mom on my channel and interview her so that you can get to know a little bit more about her. I have a lot of questions for you, and so this is really exciting. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So
it's going to be fine. That I hope I'm not going to be so emotional, because thinking about myself and my background, sometimes I can get a little sad. But anyway, we are happy today.
Yes, exactly. We're happy today. So, okay, let's take back many years ago. Let's bring you back to your childhood. Tell everyone a little bit about, you know, where were you born? What was life like growing up? And maybe what were your aspirations for the future?
Yeah, okay. I was born in a small town called Buga in Colombia. This is close to Cali. People know more Cali. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the second one. And I have my dad used to be an entrepreneur, has 8 different stores. My mom was home. It was ama de casa, just staying home mom. I did my elementary, then I did my secondary in Buga, and then I moved to Medellin. I studied in Universidad de Antioquia University. I did microbiology. I know microbiologists from there.
Okay, but we skipped a lot. So let's go back. So you were growing up in Buga, small town. My grandma was a stay-at-home mom. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He had several businesses. What is what was life like when you can remember? What, like, did you play outside? Did you, because there was no like social media, there was no
cell
Nintendos, no cell phones. Yeah, so what did you do?
At all. Even we didn't have a phone in the house at that time when I was a little girl. We used to play with the friends from the same street. We used to play outside with, I don't know, I don't have the names in English, but they just ponchao.
So just playing outside.
Playing outside. We had that bicycle. We were just biking with the friends outside. Sometimes even we stay until 11 at night. My mom was also doing, it's very fine. The school was just like 2 or 3 blocks from my place. It's a small town.
So would you say you had just like a really good childhood?
Yeah, in general, yeah, we have. My father was there for us, my mom, and
what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay, I remember to be a teacher, because it was a small school. It's not a school, like a small place where it was one teacher, and she was teaching it's like a maternelle,
kindergarten.
A kindergarten, and I remember going there just to help the lady. I was probably 7 years old, and I was helping the lady, and at that moment I thought, oh, probably I
want
will
to
be a
like
teacher.
her. I want to be a teacher.
And I thought my whole, probably high school, then probably I will be a teacher. But
did women were pushed to study and go to school back then, or would you say that you had a lot of hey, you should be like your mom, have 6 kids, and stay home?
Yeah, it could be at that time probably it was not pushing too much to go to school. However, my father used to say, okay, everybody has to study. Also, my father asked me, do you want to study or do you want to go like a stay-home mom? And I say, no. I wanna be
Something. You just want to go to
somebody.
school.
I wanted to go to school. Had a diploma. Had a whatever.
Why did you want to have a career and education versus like I want to be a stay-at-home wife and get married and have kids? And I mean, a lot of women choose that. So like, was there a specific reason why you like didn't want to do that?
Okay. I remember to see my mom, staying home, and she was very happy. She was very happy. I can't say anything about that, but I can see my mom suffering sometimes, staying home. And I didn't want to get married. I just wanted to have a business, a career, and probably later on I will be probably having a
kid at some point, a family.
No, a family, yeah, or knowing somebody who can marry me and I can have a family. But back then I was just thinking to be independent.
Okay. Would you say it's because, back then, I would say Latino countries where there's a lot of like machismo is what they call, where it's just like the man of the house, women are like second-class citizens, you just cook, clean, and have kids, and you don't have your own money, you don't have your own independence. So is that like one of the reasons why you were like, listen, I want to have my own future, I don't have to depend on anybody? Like from a young age, that's something you
because
wanted.
normally when the woman stay home, normally sometimes there is no value, it doesn't have any value, and men at that time didn't value the women or the wife. That's why I say no, I don't want to be just a woman at the home. I wanted to have a career. I wanted just to be at that time I wanted just to be a teacher.
Actually went to university to study microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
So you loved science, you loved math, physics, like you were very much into school. Actually, what's interesting is you're the only one who graduated from your family.
Yeah.
Out of all 6 of you.
By that time, it was Pablo Escobar, like everybody knows about Pablo Escobar, and he was paying a lot of money for many things. I think it affected a lot to the youth.
Where they didn't have to go to school, they could make more money.
They didn't to go to school, they get very easy
money,
money, and good money to do.
Why didn't you do it?
No, because I was already. No, I was the second one. I was already in university.
You were older.
I hate all that about drugs or things like that. I hate that.
So you never did any drugs?
Never did any drugs. No, at all. It was not my thing.
So even
I was young, at the university I had friends.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with them at the university,
and they were doing drugs,
they were doing whatever. I was sitting here. I had another friends who didn't do any drugs, but they were my friends also. But they were smoking or doing whatever.
You let them do it, and you just did your own thing.
I didn't care about it, because my friends are their things in my mind, and they accept me. I accept them like that, but never.
That's pretty good. And so, would you say that your family had money, or were you like middle class? Were you lower class? Like if you, for example, let's say you were 10 years old and it was your birthday, did you go to the store and were they buying you brand new shoes, shirts, getting your hair done? Like would you get that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And also when we were finishing the school or starting school, we always had my mom giving us like a gift, like the first like uniforms for the school. They were brand new. My mom made it because she used to be
make it, yes.
Yeah, she was making all that. But also when all my siblings has a birthday. My
So
mom
you
has
were
a
middle
cake.
class.
We were middle class. Yeah.
Did it change as you grew up?
Yeah.
Because I kind of know a little bit is towards later on in your childhood, your father started to like bankruptcy. Like he didn't have all these stores all this
No.
time, right? Didn't he start to struggle with money and with
No, never. It was just
later on? in life?
later on. Yeah, I finished university. My father used to have
He still had his
stores, and yeah, he gave me all my education.
So your family would pay for your school.
Oh yeah, in Colombia it's like that. I don't know now, but before,
Yeah.
the parents are responsible for the schooling.
So
for the
I think in Latin America, in Asia, in Europe, no, I don't know Europe, but definitely in Arabic countries, that's a standard. I would say North America, it's like especially Canada, it's very much like you're on your own. Like we're not paying for school.
No.
For you, it was like
Latinos,
Latinos.
As a father, as a parents, we are very, very responsible for our kids. That's part of our
Culture.
culture, yeah. And that's why my father gave me everything. I never worked. I helped him in his stores.
But you didn't go work at a restaurant or.
Never worked in my childhood, even when I was studying at the university. No, he will give me.
Not like me when I wanted to work at McDonald's.
No, at all. It's just not the culture like that. And I moved to Medellin to study my university.
After you graduated, you studied again microbiology.
Yeah.
And then you did your like internship. And then
we
you
have to do in a
rural area,
yeah, it's in
right?
a rural area. I did it in El Chocó. This is a very endemic area for malaria, and also has a different other.
It's an indigenous people.
Also, it's black people ancestor from Africa. Yeah, they came with Christophe Colon, and that's why there is a special community, very nice community. I used to work there for 16 months. That's my rural, and I used to have at least 70 testing for malaria.
Because you were working in the lab doing blood analysis.
As a microbiology, I had to do
Yeah.
all the testing, lab testing for blood test, urine, everything in the lab. It was an opening. They needed somebody who were able to do lab testing, but in food. Like food microbiology.
Food microbiology.
It's a food microbiology, and that's why I did some studies about that after my graduation. I did some courses. Then I was able to do all the lab micro, and that's why I took this opportunity in San Andres. And I went. And
Had you ever been to San Andres?
No, before no.
It was the
my
first time.
father. It was
Right.
the first time. My father loved San Andres. He used to go with my mom
On a honeymoon, and it's like Hawaii of the U.S. It's like the Hawaii of Colombia because people go there for their anniversaries, for their weddings, and special vacations.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful little island.
It's a beautiful.
So it's the first time that you had gone is when you were there.
Yeah. That time, it was my first time that I went to San
How
Andres.
old were you?
How old? I think I was 20. 26.
Back then, a lot of your siblings had already had children, and I would say that time or that generation, you would have children earlier, like in their 20s, early 20s. You were 26. Was there ever a push from your family of like, hey, when are you having kids? Why aren't you married yet? Like, was there that pressure of society at that time?
Sometimes. But I know for me, at that time, I used to have like a boyfriend, but not thinking about marriage. But for me, it was just married. If I will have a kid, has to be married.
More focused on your career.
Even sometimes for me, it was not easy to make a decision to have a child. No,
You weren't
because
sure
I
if you
was not
wanted
sure
kids.
because the living, the kind of life at that time around the world.
Yeah.
For me, it was hard to have that responsibility. For me, to have a child is a very
Yeah.
special
You weren't sure if
responsibility.
you wanted to raise a kid
Exactly.
in the like how shitty the world was at the time.
I met your father, Edwin Diaz. That is used to be an engineer.
So how did you meet him?
He was working at the same place for the hospital that I went to.
He worked at the hospital like
He
you did?
worked. Yeah, when I arrived, he was like kind of the boss at that time because my real boss was not in the town. He welcomed me. I never looked at him like with that possibility, I didn't think about it. But it was later on, working with him, and I don't know, in one moment I was just okay, fell in love, and yeah. He didn't want to get married. He didn't believe in marriage, and I don't know. That's love, Sometimes it happens, and
Yeah.
when I got pregnant, I never married with him.
But hey, he didn't want to get married. He told you that very early on. He didn't believe in marriage.
But I got pregnant.
So he didn't want to get married. He did not want to have kids either.
No. He told
So
me
when
that.
he told you that, were you like, oh, or were you like, okay, that's fine. I also
No.
wasn't sure that I wanted kids, so maybe we don't have kids.
Exactly. But at the same time, I never expected oh my gosh, I will be
You will have a baby.
pregnant, and no, I was taking care of that. However, one day
You found out.
I find out that I'm pregnant. He didn't
How
like
old were
it.
you?
I was 28.
28.
28,
Okay.
almost 29, yeah.
And so you told him, and
I
he wasn't
told
happy.
him, he was no, yeah, he was like, no, we can do that. Like, I say, okay, but you will take your decision, I will make my own decision.
Yeah, you didn't let him make the decision for you.
No.
You
no,
just
I
said like,
don't.
were you making good money relatively
No,
for?
in Colombia, microbiology, working for the hospital for this kind of public
hospital, yeah.
is no, it was not very good money for microbiologists.
Okay. So you can have an okay living, but you
Yeah,
weren't like
okay,
buying
but-
yourself a Mercedes.
Men.
Okay, so you told him he wasn't happy. You said I'm gonna make my own decision. You thought about it. You called my grandma because this I know.
Absolutely.
And you weren't sure that you wanted to keep the baby.
My mom
And my grandma
my
said-
mom, and my family, no, you have to keep the child.
They
And
said-
I told him, what is your decision? I gave 1 week.
You gave him 1 week.
1 week
to
to
decide.
decide.
Decide what?
If
You
he
were
wants,
keeping.
okay, if he wants to have the baby with me,
Okay. Or
Uh,
you were gonna have the baby alone, and he was not gonna be part of the picture.
exactly, but I told him, if you are going to stay, you are going to have the baby with me, that's fine, I will appreciate, we can stay, because I love him, and I wanted to stay with him until I was pushing me about being
Yeah,
all
all together.
all
You
together.
you were madly in love with him.
Exactly,
And-
but I gave him. For me, it was shocking when he didn't accept it right away.
It's such a happy news. You're
Exactly.
excited.
I knew that he didn't want kids, but I thought probably he would change his mind. But when I told him, for me, it was very sad. I was very shocked that he didn't want to do it right away.
Mhm.
And I say, okay, for me, it changed also my perspective. Okay, he has to make a decision. And he said, you know what? I will stay with you. Right away, he told me. Okay, no 1 week later. At that time, he told me, okay, I will stay with you, but as soon as this boy or this girl is going to be born, I will go. I will leave. I said, do you know what? You can leave now. You can go now. I'll think about it to make a decision. Then he said, okay, I will stay. Okay, I will stay. He stayed with me for the whole pregnancy. I can't say anything. He was just like, I always
You were
had
hoping.
hope that he will change his mind and he will stay with me the whole life.
Yeah.
And he will help me to raise my kid. It was later on, later on, but
So-
he was showing me his cold shoulder all the time, and I was thinking many things, but he was very clear. I think he was clear, but it was just as what the name for it? Protecting me,
Yeah.
protection of myself, trying to probably live a different moment for me. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Just to be in a different planet, probably. I was thinking that probably he will change his mind later on. But for him, he was very clear in his mind.
Yeah.
But he didn't probably tell me like that.
He didn't want to hurt your feelings
Exactly.
right away.
But however, I knew that he was very clear. For him, it's very.
So you had me, and then
yeah.
what happened after? You
Then-
were separated.
No,
You
then-
weren't living together anymore, or were you
Yes,
living
we
together?
were living together until you were 4 months.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah.
You found out he was with somebody else.
But later on, at that time when you were 4 months, I found out that he
Was
was
seeing
dating
someone
somebody
else.
or he
Yeah.
was talking to somebody. By that time when I found out that he has another person, I said, this is it.
I'm done.
I'm done. I don't have anything to do. He was very clear to me, and it's fine. Now it was me who was like kind of blind. But,
So when you found out that there was a third person, that's when you were like, okay, like I'm not hopeful anymore. This is over.
No.
You were holding on to hope before, but after you found out, you were like, okay,
no,
I'm
for
gonna
me,
move
it was
on.
just
Yeah.
that's it. And
So 4 months, and then
4
you
months,
moved
and
out.
he wanted me to go back to Medellin. He asked me why not to go.
Back to the city,
he
to the
bought
mainland.
He bought a house in Medellin for me and for you, for both of us. He wanted to move to Medellin. He wanted me. It was her sister used to be a microbiologist also, and he wanted.
He's like, she can get you a job. Move out of the island.
Because she had a very good
Position.
position and all trying to accommodate my life, But at that time I was very, very bitter, like, what is the name for that? Angry.
Yeah, you were angry.
Angry because, all the situation that I told him, so you know what, I will move out from San Andres at the time that I want to do it. I came here at the one moment
On
that
my
I wanted
own.
to come in my own. I will just make my decision when I want it. No, because you will accommodate my life. Because probably he want the island empty in order to bring the other person. But
Yeah.
anyway, he
So for
did it
those who
anyway.
don't know, the island, San Andres, is very small. So it's very easy for you to go to the one grocery store and bump into each other.
Mhm.
And so he wanted to bring his new girlfriend.
And it happened. It happened.
Wait, he wanted to bring her over and start a new life on the island because he had a business, and so he wasn't planning to leave necessarily. He was trying to, like you said, accommodate your life and saying, hey, I bought you a house in Colombia,
No,
and you leave and go back to
Yeah.
school if you want, like painting this beautiful picture just to kind of like sweep you out. So you decided to leave San Andres.
San Andres, and I just wanted to go out of Colombia. I didn't want to come back to Medellin. No. But I know that I have family in Canada.
That was 1994, and so there was still the Pablo Escobar, there was the killings, there was so much narco going on, and so Colombia wasn't a great place to anyways raise a daughter.
No.
So
I
we
know-
have family in Canada. Have you
Yeah.
ever left Colombia to North America?
Before,
Yeah.
never.
You had left really anywhere else?
No, never.
Back then, there was no internet. So, how did you see pictures of what Canada looked like?
Yeah,
did you
my
see
aunt, she was when she
How did you
came
guys send pictures to each other?
by letter, by my mail.
Really?
Oh yeah. When they came,
They would bring
they
pictures.
brought pictures. They sent us
Wow.
Christmas cards and different things and pictures of the kids, pictures of different
But
things.
you didn't, there's no Google and you can go see what Montreal downtown looks like and
No,
it's just
no,
you
really.
didn't know what you were going to,
No,
you were
really.
just like, let's go.
No, really.
How much money did you have? Because like, who bought your flights? That must have been expensive back then to
Yeah, no,
fly
it's
all the way to
because-
Canada. How did you afford a ticket to Canada?
Okay, when I asked Edwin that I will be living in Canada, I had to ask for a permission because he's the father. I can bring you, bring a kid like that. No.
So you had to get him to sign a special format.
Format, yeah.
Did he want to sign it?
Yeah, but when
I mean, probably. It's not like he was super
no,
involved.
I asked him, I told him what it was my plans were. And he was okay because he saw that I will be in a family. It's not like a adventure somewhere, It's
Yeah.
an adventure, however, it was
He knew you
about
had people there.
around more about your future than mine. I'm already 35 years old, I don't care about me, but I was thinking about you. That's why for me it was just clear.
So you had the mentality of like, I'm going to immigrate to Canada. My daughter will have a better future. She can go to school. She
And I
can
can
grow
work
up in a
wherever.
different.
And I can have any work, any job, whatever.
So okay, so who bought your flights?
Okay, and at that time he gave me one car. I used to have a car, and I bought we sold the car.
You took like one or two luggages, like
Yeah,
not
I
very
just-
minimal. It was
Yeah, I took like 2 luggages for each. And
When you first
sister.
arrived to Miami and then Houston, being your first time in the U.S. and only living in Colombia, were you like, wow, look at the highways,
No.
wow, like, or you weren't impressed?
No, I was not impressed at all.
Really?
No. Even in Miami,
With
no,
the
really.
high rise.
Not really bad. No, because Medellin has certain.
Okay, so you weren't like, oh my
buildings.
god,
I
this
was
is
no,
amazing.
no.
Wow.
Because I remember also, like when we came out from the airport and we started with my brother because they just,
Put the stamp
put
and here
the
you go.
stamps and go. And one moment I was just in the middle of the street there with the taxis and cars, and I said, John, okay, we are already.
We're in the
they
US.
allow us to be already here, and because that's the country that I knew.
And I think
from the
also
family.
Canada was accepting a lot of immigrants.
Oh, yeah.
They needed people, they needed
And
families.
also, I knew for many friends, the U.S. you had to work a lot, like too much suffering in the
Too much
U.S.
suffering in the
In
US.
order to get some money, you had to suffer a lot. But also my aunts, my aunts, my uncles, they say Canada is a very good country, you must go. And that's what.
There is
that's
a lot of
what I-
support from the government.
Oh yeah, it's different.
Tell me about arriving to Montreal. You have a 4-year-old daughter. You're living at your uncle's house with his family. And what was next for you? Like, what were you thinking? A, I need to learn French and English because they're speaking other languages. Your degree was not valid in Canada. Like, it's not like you can go work at a hospital like you were doing in Colombia. So what was your plan? You were there, you have your 4 luggages, you have some money that's left over, and like, what did you do next? Did you go find a job? How do you even work? You don't speak the language.
But I arrived in Toronto first.
Yes,
arrived
we're
with
talking
my
about
aunt in
Montreal.
When I arrived to Montreal, I can read whatever I can read. It was clear for me.
But you couldn't understand people.
No really, because my ear was not developed. If they speak slow, I was able to understand. Next day, I went to La Maison de Massage Star.
And then
I
what was
didn't
that?
have I didn't have a car. I was walking from your uncle's house.
All
It
the way
was
there. Okay.
around 20 minutes walk. But before I arrived to La Maison Internacional, I passed to bring you to the daycare. It was on my way.
To afford to rent.
It
An
was
apartment.
like 2 or 3 months that I had to pay And my uncle also gave me some discount.
Okay.
But later on, it's the government help. Yeah, we went to the government and they help us.
So the government
Because-
gave you money for housing,
Yeah.
for
And
food.
also because I was studying French and I was just. And then,
Was that first year difficult? Going
It
from
is
San
difficult,
Andres
ma'am.
to Canada?
even the first month, the first 2 months were very difficult because I used to be in the lab. I used to work in the lab.
You
I
had
used
your
to
own
be
life, you had
my
your
own
car,
life,
your
my
own
own
money.
car, and in the island very easy, everything very close. And I had my profession, you know. I had what I love my microbiology. I used to. We don't have more rice. Oh, we have to go and buy rice, you know. It was just the worry that something was missing from the
Yeah.
for eating or whatever, but nothing like I used to have. Very
Like you went from having responsibility and a career and a purpose to like,
to
oh my
just
God,
think
is there enough
about,
food
oh
for
yeah,
the
there's
family?
not enough food. I have to go and buy. That it was the more, you know. And for me, it was very sad because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I used to have this professional life. Now, no. And from that time, it was many years that I didn't have a professional job. Certain reason I lost my job. I was thinking, well, it was 6 years already, and I couldn't do my.
So let's say 6 years of having arrived.
Yeah, and
Were you able to buy a house?
No.
Were you able to buy a brand new
with
car?
$99 an hour, very difficult to buy a house. No, we were living just in basements or whatever.
Apartments,
apartments,
little
and
places.
but it's. And
Do
I
you
moved
think
to Toronto at that time.
people who immigrate to US or to Canada, they think that life is going to be a lot easier and that they're going to make a lot of money and that like the immigrant life is like easy, but it's not?
Yeah, it's like we think it could be easier, but the reality is different.
Yeah.
Because you know I think the worst thing is all the people who study health, you know, all the science and
Degrees.
medical degrees, and this is you have to start again.
Mhm.
It's, even though the biology is the same,
Yeah,
everybody
a body
knows
here
the
is the
body,
same as a body
and
there.
the pharmaceutical and
It's all the
everything
same
is
thing.
almost the same, and there's a lot of technical vocabulary that we are able to understand. However, it's very difficult for the governments to, you know,
To accept
that
the
the
standards.
worst thing is in Quebec. Quebec it's not easy. Now with the pandemic, with two different, many things happening in the, you know.
It's
in
easier
the
to
world,
immigrate now.
It's easier to immigrate. They are accepting. I wish to be that it happened at that time when I arrived 20 years before,
Yeah.
28 years already, to be able to work in the lab. You know, that's why I never work because it was very difficult. However, I went to Toronto and I did another diploma in Seneca College. That's part of, yeah.
So you went back to
Seneca
school
College.
in Toronto.
I went back.
How expensive was that?
It was, wow. But I was able to.
How many years
afford
was it? 2 years?
No, 3 years diploma.
3-year diploma.
3-year diploma is a co-op. That means they help you to find a place
Like
to
an
work.
internship. Yeah,
An
yeah.
internship. That's why
How much was that?
$30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
I think you're still paying.
No, I finished
Finally
last year.
finished? Okay.
I finally
It took like
finished.
20 years to pay $30,000.
Yeah, it was. However, going
So
back to work, you know, I think you saw me.
I saw you study a lot.
Studying. I used to.
Every day you were
I
studying.
used to-
That's why I studied so much.
I used to work in a French school that you used to go.
Yeah.
I used to work there for maternal, for
Kindergarten.
kindergarten. I was helping the teacher, teaching her.
Teacher assistant.
Teacher assistant in French. Then I was studying. You know, it was full time. I never worked in studying part time. It was full time studying. Then on weekends I was.
You were working at a banquet hall.
In a
serving food and picking up
just
plates.
to be able, even I was receiving the money from the government.
It wasn't enough.
Because what is the name for that? It's a bourse.
Oh. Yes. The government was helping you because you were studying, because you were in school.
I did that.
Get more money? Or was it because you loved your career so much?
Exactly.
It wasn't because you were going to make a lot of money.
Not really the money. It was more because back in here in my brain, I just wanted to be a professional.
You wanted to be a professional. Yeah, I think that was always a battle for you.
It was my dream.
It was like, yeah, you wanted to go back to what you were before.
I remember many moments, different moments in Toronto. I used to, like my brother used to have an agency for cleaning
agency.
And sometimes he didn't have somebody asked me, and I went to help cleaning. And I used to clean one lab. I remember when, and I just look into the window. Oh my gosh, I know that all the microbes. Oh my gosh, there's a chemical thing, whatever. Yeah. And I was just dreaming. Oh,
you wanted to
when
work
I
in the lab one
finish this thing, I will be able to work again in the lab.
So my question for you on working after you got your degree again in Canada, and then we moved back to Montreal. Do you find there was a little bit of racism towards you because you were Latino? Because of how your accent, because you were like the boss now, and you would always have these stories of like how you felt like there was no diversity and inclusion for you.
It could be in certain moments I thought it happens. That is more with the Quebecers. It is more in Quebec.
So Quebec is the French part of Montreal.
Yeah,
that's
in Quebec. It was more in that time.
They're very much like, you're Latino, don't tell me what to do, you don't speak proper French.
Yeah, sometimes it happens like that. But that's the thing. I finished my diploma. I had the bachelor degree, the diploma in biotech, and I never got any job in there. Because, I don't know, I was just given my resume here, there. I did million interviews, million things, and never happened.
I think a lot of what you dealt with was because you were restarting over later on in life. People would always kind of judge you on your age and on the fact that you had really no experience in Canada.
At that time, the Calgary, that's why I wanted to mention that, it's very important. I was there when these people from the food safety company came to do the audit, and they didn't pass, and they start just doing education about it, and they saw me how I was doing the inspection in there, how I was doing the testing and all that, and they look at me and they were start talking. Why you're not coming to work with us? And I was, me? Come on, how?
Yeah.
No, I never thought that I will be able to work for them. But they saw me how
good you were.
How good, and they asked me, and they say, you must apply. Give me your resume. And I gave the resume, but I don't know, I never thought that I will be able to go and work for an American company, and I was able to do one audit I was inspecting one company every day. I was taking one plane every day.
You got a job in Canada that was paid well, you got to travel a lot, you got to work hard though because you were never home.
I love that job because it was very hard being a mother, had my daughter with my mom, and I just take one, I was leaving on Sunday in order to be 8 o'clock on Sunday and Monday morning. In anywhere, it could be in the States, it could be in Toronto, it could be, I don't know, in Quebec. Every Sunday, probably I was home. Saturday, even you were asking me to go to the mall, I was, oh my God, I have to finish this, because I did the audit, I have to give them the report, like a summary report at that time, the qualification, I had to give a number, the qualification, and then I had to probably drive
or plan to the next.
2 or 3 hours.
It was a very crazy, heavy workload job.
I love it because I am adventurous. I love the adventure. I love that.
I think I was 16 or 17. Did you ever have a boyfriend? Or because you never really had, I never really met anybody, so.
It was one guy, remember, that came once when you were 15.
Honestly, I don't remember.
And she was very jealous.
Really?
Yeah, but it never happened anything.
Why not? Why didn't you want to find a
because
husband?
he was living.
Not him, just in general. So many years, you're in Montreal, you're an attractive lady.
I wanted to have somebody, but I had no time. Always studying, always working, always doing something, and I never had that time. And that guy that I met, and I thought if God had somebody, he would give me one day. That's it. Until now, he didn't give me anybody. I was happy all the time that you will be safe, you will study, you will be somebody. That's for me my best treasure and my best kind of life. I don't know. I'm very good.
So you were just happy with being alone. I remember you would always say I'd rather be alone than in a bad relationship.
Oh yeah.
Because I think you saw a lot of your friends and family just with shitty people, shitty guys who treated them bad, who told them what to do. You can't wear that. You blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, you would always say make sure you have a career, make sure you always work and have your own money, because I remember you
have to be independent.
You were be independent, don't ever have a guy pay anything for you. And I remember you would say you would see this a lot where they would buy their wives or their girlfriends jewelry or a nice bag or a purse or a dress, but then it almost felt like you owed them something. Or if you were fighting or get divorced one day, it was always give me back my things, or you kind of you have to give back the ring. And so it was always don't do that, buy your own diamonds. Did you want me, what would happen if I would have said, Mom, I don't want to go to university?
No, but I think since you were shy, I was just preparing you for that. Always.
Yeah, you were always you gotta go to school.
You have to go to school.
You have to be a professional.
Because it's important, to have a career.
How about, I used to love YouTube, even when I was 16 years old. And I would do little videos on my phone or whatever we had back then. Do you think if I would have said I want to be a YouTuber back then, you would have accepted that?
No, never.
If you wanted me to go to school?
No.
But I could have been a millionaire right now.
I don't care, but the important is to know, have knowledge, so be able to speak, to talk about something in life, I don't believe in those who just arrive from one night to the other one. Oh, I am a millionaire. Okay, good for them. But it's good also to be able to explain, to be. Yeah.
You wanted me to go to school and get knowledge and learn
and be a professional,
So what did you think about me wanting to be an engineer? When I said, I want to go to chemical engineering. What did you think about engineering?
Remember that
I wanted to be a dentist.
You wanted to be a dentist, but I know that you wanted because of money. You didn't want it because
wanted money.
You always wanted.
Okay, so actually talking about that, growing up, I started working at 16. Even before I was 16, I was always trying to pick up leaves and clean cars and sell candy. I always wanted money.
Exactly, you wanted also.
Yes.
But but it doesn't mean that you were very bad. We had certain moments that we didn't have a lot of money, but I think in your childhood you were very spoiled. In the
I was
childhood.
spoiled,
You were spoiled.
but we didn't have money.
Yeah, but you were spoiled.
That was
You had cell phone where you had to have it.
You were always just working extra hard to make sure that I had it. But at the end of the day, I realized that we didn't have money. I mean, you were doing everything to give me the luxuries, but I mean, I could see what my friends' parents drove, when I would go to their houses. Like, I could definitely tell that, you know, obviously there was a difference. And so I think I just always grew up wanting money, and that's why, you're right, I said I wanted to be a dentist because I saw that they could make a lot of money. But when I decided to do chemical engineering, what did you think? Were you like, okay, good, I don't care what you do, just as long as you study, or?
No, it was a very good. It's an engineer, you know. Like your father used to be an engineer. And I was very happy that unless you
were you happy that I decided to study at McGill and that I didn't leave the province? Because most people say I want to move away from the house.
Absolutely, I was very happy because you're home.
I'm home, yeah.
Yeah, no, like I remember Paul, he went to Montreal. But you were
It was
just
so expensive.
counting the
Yeah, I was like, I can live
things
here for free, or I can go pay, you know,
But also
$500 a month. And I went to work in the oil field, and I said, Mom, I'm moving to Alberta. See you later. I'm going to the Middle East for 3 months. I'm going to do Abu Dhabi.
Now, very difficult.
Yeah,
to
what
live
was
here.
that like when you were like the oil field? Like, what did you know about the oil field?
We know about the oil, but it was no about the environment at that time, you know, against the environment. No, I was happy because we need oil. Even now, we need oil.
But you didn't think that the industry was very males dominated?
Yeah, in
there's only
certain
a few
moments we
women.
had. Yeah, but
She's
knew,
over there by herself.
But I know you also. You know, you had a character. I was very proud of you, and I was thinking, it's in certain moments we are afraid, you know, like she's small, she's no, and the other guys, I was always praying for you. That's my prayer.
Yeah, so 10 years since I left. And then we didn't talk about Tim, but you met Tim when we were 17 years old, as many years ago. You always liked him, so I think.
Yeah, because you met when you were 7. I used to bring you to church to different.
I don't remember him from that age. I only remember when we were 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You knew his mom. You know his mom. You know his family.
I knew his family. I knew him. He was with a small cravat and church. And I was happy because it was from church.
Do you think the fact that him and I were together and that I finished school and you felt like relieved that like I was okay in that sense, like they're gonna get married and they're gonna like she's okay, like,
and knowing the family, knowing Tim, you know, his background and his family around, I don't know, for me it was like I was closing my eyes when I was okay that he will be going out, dating out with you.
I think a lot of people don't know, but I remember there was a lot of times where we would go to like a food bank where you get food for like $5, you get a basket of food.
In second hand, sometimes you can get very good second-hand stuff.
Listen, I agree with you. I like second-hand stuff sometimes too. But what other questions did I have for you? Because I think this is a very long video, but I think people get to know a lot about you. I think the question that I always get from people is like, where do you get this hard work, hustle kind of mentality? And I think it's anyone that has parents that immigrated have this in them, where like we saw our parents leave everything behind, sell their car, go with 4 luggages, a few $100s, and kind of like restart a new life. And then I think why I was so good at school and studying, and I made sure I was like top of my class, top of everything, was because growing up I saw, like you said, going back to school, learning French, learning English, then going back and getting a degree, working on the weekends, working in the morning. It's like, if I didn't do something with my life, or if I didn't study, or if I didn't become successful, and like, all of this would have been for nothing. And what sucks about this is that this happens to a lot of people. They kill themselves and they do so much, and then their kids who have like this huge opportunity in front of them to do so much in a new country, they don't use it.
Yeah,
they like do drugs, they get into gangs, they go to jail, they have kids, and then like they don't finish their career, and it's like your parents literally killed themselves to come to Canada or to the US, and you didn't do anything with your life. And so I'm glad that I definitely took the other path where I was like, I need to make sure that, you know, I do something great with my life, because then that would have sucked for you. And you know, if I didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's. I think an example has more value than telling the people you have to do this.
Yeah.
For example, I do, but it took me at that time I had to study. I just wanted, but